Hi there, you're watching Market Cafe on ET Now with me Shreyansi Singh and with me Snehi Shah. Over the next 1 hour, we'll take you through news and updates from within the country as well as across the globe, tell you which stocks you should keep on your radar and tell you what the brokerages are saying as well. So let's get started. First things first, it was a good day and a week coming in for Nasdaq at least, right?
Well, absolutely. US markets on an overall did very well, but yes, Nasdaq was the one to watch out for. Good morning. Let's kickstart the show then with the global handover. The Nasdaq closed Friday at fresh record highs as gain in chipmaker Nvidia outweighed worries that the Fed Reserve will delay any interest rate cuts. The S&P 500 rose 0.7%. Nasdaq advanced 1.1%, the real winner in last week's trading session, ending at 16,921 whereabouts. The Dow edged up 4.3 points, which was rather flat move coming in, but managed to close in the green nonetheless. Now, for the week that went by though, however, we had some mixed moves coming in across Wall Street. S&P 500 inched up just less than 0.1%, so very flat moves coming over there. Nasdaq outperformed its peer indices with a gain of 1.4%. Meanwhile, on the flip side, you had the Dow that shed 2.3%, marking its first negative week in the last 5 weeks. Now, Nvidia, well, was the stock to talk about because Nvidia shares climbed around 2.6% on Friday as enthusiasm continued over its blockbuster earnings report, pushing the shares above that $1,000 per share for the first time. Now, traders are now pricing in less than a 50% chance that the central bank will cut rates at its September meeting. This is according to the CME Fed Watch tool. And several tech names were higher on Friday. Advanced Micro Devices did well. Intel rose 2.1%, and Meta and Netflix shares also rallied 2.7% and 1.7% each. So now this performance helped Nasdaq log its 11th record close of the year, and the bullish sentiment on the AI giant and other tech names powered the market higher, even as concerns that the Fed will not lower rates this summer lingered. Now, after several strong economic and labor data releases this week, Goldman pushed its forecast for the Fed's first rate cut back to September from July. So that's the lowdown on the US market. Nasdaq shining to be the real winner, and on the back of Nvidia shares, that is. When I switch tabs and look at what European markets are doing, well, it's not much happening across Europe because DAX is as flat as ever. FTSE is down almost 0.3%, and then the Stock 600 index is also down 0.2% for Friday. So not much, not much happening when it comes to the European markets. But Shreyansi, we're seeing some price spike happening in oil, isn't it?
Absolutely, and before I come to that, I'm going to take a quick look at gold prices as well, because gold prices rose as the dollar slipped, but were headed still for their worst week in 5.5 months. That is the kind of move that we've seen come in for gold prices then. And this is, of course, as hopes of interest rate cuts by the US central bank team. Now, when you look at bullion's story that we saw play out last week, bullion hit a record high of 2,449. And that was on Monday, but after that, it has shed about $100 since then and is on track for a 3% drop that particular week. Its worst weekly dip since early December coming in for gold as well. Now, when you look at crude oil then, crude oil futures bounced back from 3-month lows on Friday, but still booked to a loss for the week as the summer really driving season gets underway with the Memorial Day holiday as well. So when you look at US crude oil, hit an intraday low of $76 thereabout in morning trading, the lowest level since Feb 26th as well. And global benchmark Brent fell to $80 thereabout, the lowest level since Feb 8 as well. Now, the two benchmarks turned positive later in the session, but settled at a weekly loss of 2.9% and 2.2% respectively. When you look at price moves then, $77 is where WTI was at, up about 1.1%, and year to date also the US oil is up 8.4%. Now, when you look at Brent then, that one was around $82 a barrel, up 76 cents or almost 1%, and year to date also the global benchmark is up 6.5%. Now, OPEC and its allies led by Russia will hold a virtual meeting on June 2nd to review production policy. And a coalition of OPEC Plus members is voluntarily holding 2.2 million barrels per day off the market to support prices. So that largely is the story that we're seeing play out for oil prices. But let's stay with oil then. Iran has approved a plan to raise its oil output from 3.6 million to 4 million barrels per day. This according to the country's news agency. An announcement came without a time frame as to when the said hike will be effective. Remember, Iran is a major producer within the organization of the petroleum exporting countries. So this is key to watch as well.
All right, well, lots to watch out for when it comes to oil as well as equities globally. But let's take a look at all the important events that you need to be tracking today. And well, today, like Shanti mentioned, US markets are closed on account of Memorial Day. UK markets are also closed on the back of a spring bank holiday. So US and UK markets will be closed today. Shifting focus to the east, let's talk about China because industrial profits are due from China today. So that will be a metric to watch out for. Now shifting focus back home in terms of corporate action, then you have GM Breweries board that will be mulling bonus issue today. So watch out for that counter in today's trading session as well. And in terms of quarter four earnings, while we don't have any from the Nifty, from the broader markets, you have a whole host of companies coming out with their numbers, the likes of NMDC Steel, you have Moti Sons Jewelers, Kirloskar Industries, GMDC, Flair Writing, Nalco, AstraZeneca, Electronics Mart. You have a whole host of companies coming out with their numbers as well. Now in terms of the primary markets, then today is the last day to subscribe for the office-based solution IPO. That will be closing today, and lock-in period is also going to be ending for 3 counters today. Tata Technologies 65% equity will be coming out of lock-in. Juniper Hotels and GPT Healthcare 5% equity coming out of lock-in each. Now in other news today, what's happening globally, EU foreign ministers are meeting in Brussels to discuss about Ukraine and the issues that we're seeing in the Middle East. ECB chief economist Philip Lane is all set to speak in Dublin, so that commentary will be important to watch out for. FOMC member Williams is also going to speak, so another important commentary to watch out for. And the IMF is going to be holding discussions with Ukrainian authorities to unlock the next tranche of aid that is worth roughly $2.2 billion in aid. The next tranche of that is going to be unlocked, and there's going to be talks around that as well. So well, lots of cues to watch out for.
Well, absolutely, lots of cues to keep on your radar then. But let's get started with some more updates. Economists at Goldman Sachs are now predicting that the Federal Reserve will begin cutting interest rates in September, postponing their previous call from July due to economic resilience. Goldman Sachs was one of the last major banks on Wall Street to expect a July rate cut. Their reversal aligns with a market consensus that policymakers will remain cautious. Given the robust state of the US economy, Goldman Sachs anticipates the Fed will implement 2 rate cuts in total through 2024 with 1 per quarter. This means the second reduction is now expected in December.
Alright, and some important commentary coming in from the Fed Reserve Governor Christopher Waller said it's possible that a key underlying interest rate that influences the potency of policy may rise in the future after years of declines, but it's too soon to say if that will happen. The R-star is the interest rate that neither stimulates nor restricts the economy when inflation is at the US Central Bank's target. Waller said the R-star has seen a long-term decline due to strong demand for government debt in a world where global trading terms had been liberalizing, regulation changes, falling inflation and less volatile economic activity.
Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia is planning a multi-billion-dollar share sale in energy giant Aramco as soon as June. If the deal goes through, this would be the region's biggest stock deal. The offering could raise $10 billion. According to reports, shares will be listed in Riyadh and it will be a fully marketed offering rather than an accelerated sale over a few days. Banks that have been reportedly lined up for the sale include Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, as well as HSBC.
Alright, and shifting focus back home, 58 seats that went to vote in the 6th phase of Lok Sabha elections logged an approximate turnout of 63.4% according to data from the ECI. This is, however, a mild dip from 2019's 64.7%. Voting was held for the 6th and penultimate phase of the Lok Sabha elections in 58 seats across 8 states and union territories. This phase covered the national capital Delhi, neighbouring Haryana, as well as several key constituencies in Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, Bihar and Jharkhand. Phase 5 remains the lowest when it comes to voter turnout with 62.2%. However, turnout in the 6th phase is still way lower than polling in the first 4 phases. With phase 6 done, voting is now over in 486 seats across 28 states and union territories. We now look ahead at the 57 seats up for grabs in the final phase on the 1st of June. Let's go across and listen into what the top leaders and corporate honchos had to say on the day of the election.
Continue the momentum, please. we are in a golden age. There is an amplification of India's stature from every line item that you can monitor. So, more of it.
So, how has been the overall the experience in terms of carrying out your business, the last government performance, and the expectations with the upcoming one?
Well, I fundamentally believe that earlier we were obviously in last 10 years and previous to 10 years, we have come a far away from elevation of poverty. So it my belief the access to the mainstream of economy of growth that we are seeing, making it reach every nook and corner and every village and place will be and should be the priority. So that is what I believe the next government should be focused on.
In addition to this, okay, if you want to just pinpoint, okay, these are the 3 points or the 2 points or the 5 points on which you have, you think so that you have did with your responsibility, you have cast your vote.
I think there is no doubt about it that we as a nation, our young nation, so assertiveness of our nation that we see, and first you have to have a confidence and assertiveness. So I think that is a checkbox. And then you have to obviously see that is it inclusive growth? It is, like I said, that everybody has to be part of it. It can't be just one segment or other. And the infrastructure, I mean, I'm from Aligarh and I go places. It's amazing to see the kind of growth and development that we've seen. So, and obviously, there is no doubt about it, future forward.
Okay. One interesting thing we want to...
This is the biggest festival of the nation. More importantly, this is the biggest choice that you make. And we keep talking about problems, but this is the only way to become part of the solution by voting right, by choosing the right government. And I think we are, of course, voting for many more job creation. And, we are voting for economic growth. We are voting for a stable government. We are voting for more, ease of business policies. And yeah, that's all that we are voting for.
Well, that was well said. Coming to you, Ghazal, what sectors, as a business person also, what sectors you would like to see improvement in as a citizen, as a business person, coming finance in it? Tell us about that.
I think in the last few years we've witnessed not just one but each of the sectors growing beautifully here in our country. It's because the focus is not just on, let's say, manufacturing or job creation. It's across, including AI, including, technology. And that's what I wish that we continue to see. Continuity on improvement, on making a mark and taking India global, the way it's being talked about today, is something that that's my wish from this biggest festival like we talked about.
That's amazing. One last question, and it's open to you both. Are your hopes high with the country for economy reaching to $5 trillion economy? What are your hopes? What are the expectations?
Well, of course, I think if you look at the global geopolitical scenario, India is the best placed economy in the world. Right? We have the most amount of talent. We have a very strong consumption economy. We are already inching towards a $5 trillion GDP, and we have had a stable government for 10 years, and hopefully we'll have another 10 years of stable governance. And there is no geopolitical conflict, so to say, which has been tearing a lot of other countries in the world. And hence, I don't think there is a brighter spot in the world than India. And this is the place to be.
Definitely. Some words from you, Ghazal?
I think Varun summed it up really well. I would just say that the Josh and the hope, both of them are really high, and we are rooting for it.
I think Delhi will outvote. The way I'm seeing the queues out here, it definitely looks by the end of the day when the voting is there, Delhi will surprise. And no, there are many youngsters in the line. Maybe it's only 11 o'clock, so they are still awaking, but I'm sure they will be here.
Right. As part of this constituency, I mean, this does have a lot of affluent people living around. But what are the key trigger points? Where do you see there needs to be some sort of change, and what would be your to-do list for your constituency leaders here?
The only one thing that I have to say is more than us, the next generation, it is really the environment, the pollution out here, and it touches every citizen, affluent, powerful, not so affluent. So it really, every human being in that sense, and the younger generation and the grandchildren of people, I think there's one agenda point, if I would say to the representatives, whosoever will be finally, that they must have this at the top of the list.
ऐसा है कि 400 पार का एक सेंटिमेंट है और 400 पार करने में कोई मुश्किल नहीं है। हमारे 303 ऑलरेडी हैं और 10% भी हमारी सीटें बढ़ती है तो 330-33 होती है, 15% बढ़ती है 345। हमारे 37 अलाइज हैं, तो अगर उनमें से आधे के भी 2-3 सीटें आए तो हम 400 का अच्छा आराम से पार करेंगे।
आप देख रहे हैं कि मैं इस बूथ में फर्स्ट मेल वोटर हूं। अब ये मतदान जो होता है, हम तो चाहते हैं कि भारी संख्या में आज वोट पड़े, क्योंकि ये देश के लिए एक बहुत बड़ा निर्णय का समय है और मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि देश जो है, दिल्ली के वोटर भी विकसित भारत और मोदी सरकार को एक बार और वोट देंगे और एक बार और मोदी सरकार वापस आएगी।
All right, then that was the word coming in from top corporate honchos as well as leaders, and they talked about a lot of key agendas. But with that, we'll leave you for a short break. When we come back, we'll take a look at how the Asian markets are faring.
Hi there, welcome back. You're still watching Market Cafe on ET Now. Let's take a look at how the Asian markets have opened up this morning. They're looking good overall because it's a sea of green when it comes to the Asian markets. Investors are focused on key economic data from China and of course back home due later this week. The world's second largest economy, which is China, will release its official PMI, which is the Purchasing Managers Index reading on Friday. India will also be posting its fiscal fourth quarter GDP numbers, very important metric to watch out for on Friday, which is May 31st as well. Now, Australia will also announce its inflation data for April on Wednesday, with analysts from ING expecting a modest dip. So, data-heavy week coming in for Asia this week. But let's take a look at what's happening across the Asian markets as of now. And Nikkei has climbed. Nikkei actually climbed 0.4% on open, rebounding from Friday's losses, and has simmered down those gains a little bit. Is roughly higher with 0.1% right now. 61 points higher is where Nikkei is right now. Now, South Korea's Kospi was 0.3% higher at open. It slowly seemed to be gaining because it's 0.5% higher as of now. That's Kospi for you. Shifting focus, let's talk about what Australia is up to. And the Australian ASX 200 also gained 0.5% at open. Building onto those gains, a 60-point uptick for ASX coming in. Australia is on pace to snap a 4-day losing streak as well. Let's also take a look at what Hang Seng and Shanghai are doing. Hang Seng is up 0.2%, not doing that badly. And Shanghai also up almost 0.3%, 10-point uptick coming in. So, well, sea of green when it comes to the Asian markets this morning. Not much happening, but well, at least it's in the positive. Now, shifting focus back home, let's talk about the moves that we did see on Nifty coming on Friday, because we briefly crossed that 23,000 mark, inching to a new all-time high for the markets. Now, implied open at 23,023. We closed at 22,597. So, a very tempered start indicated for us, despite a very strong handover coming in from the US, mixed handover coming in from Europe, and well, slightly positive coming in from the Asian markets as of now. So, we'll just have to buckle up and see what this trading session holds for us today, Shreyansi.
Well, absolutely. We'll see how that pans out for us.
Hi there, welcome back. Thanks so much for still staying tuned to Market Cafe. You're watching ET Now. Let's get a little stock specific now and talk about earnings. Now, it was the best ever Q4 for Astra Microwave, while on the other hand, IQ Lighting saw muted earnings. My colleague Winnie is joining us with all the number crunching and to explain what led to the good results as well as the bad results for IQ and good for Astra Microwave. Winnie, take it away.
Good morning, and yes, talking about Astra Microwave, strong set of numbers that was reported by the company. Best ever performance in Q4 FY24. EBITDA was much ahead of what the street was expecting, mainly because of the product mix improving and the businesses which are higher margin business, they have seen an improvement in the product mix there. So yes, that is the reason we're seeing an increase over there. That's mainly the space sector which led to the better performance of the EBITDA margin of the company. Other than that, the order inflows that are at 472 crores, 95% of that came in from the defense related, and overall the order book is at 1960 crores. Execution has picked up pace significantly for the company, whether you look at it sequentially or even on a year-on-year basis. Export orders during the quarter also was something that was seeing a bit of a they were also higher. That is something that was the one was watching out for. The FY25 guidance in terms of order inflow is at around 1,200 to 1,300 crore, and expecting a boost in terms of the margin in FY25. That's what the management highlighted. Now, other than that, IQ, when you look at it, it's a bad set of numbers. It was a miss on all the counts, whether you look at it at revenue, profits, or the margin front of the company. Margins dropped by around 412 basis point on a year-on-year basis. Sequentially, also we saw a decline there, and rise in employee cost as well as other expenses. That is something that impacted the overall profitability of the company. Operating deleverage was taking place, due to which they saw a drop in terms of revenues. Gross margins also, mainly the lighting side, was widely in line with the peers. What we saw was the working capital. That appeared to be a bit more stretched than a peers. So yes, keeping an eye out on that. Something that seems like a worry, that this could actually lead to some bit of a cash crunch, but that's something to watch out for. But IQ was a miss on all the fronts.
Right, Vinny, definitely we'll be watching out for those counters then. But let's also take a look at Divi's Labs, because that had a strong quarter, all-round beat coming in. When you look at the consolidated revenue from ops, you're looking at an uptick of about 18% on a year-on-year basis. And when you look at the profit after tax as well, uptick of 68%. When you look at EBITDA then, uptick of 50% coming in, and margins were at 31.7% versus 25% on a year-on-year basis. Now, in terms of highlights, you of course had them recommending a final dividend of 30 rupees per share. And in terms of the factors then, the EBITDA margins crossed 30% after 5 quarters. So that's an important move coming in for Divi's Labs, and there was improved traction in the custom synthesis business as well. When you look at their product mix, that was better. And in terms of their product performance then, the key product naproxen slid 10% on a year-on-year basis. But on the flip side, you did have a strong contribution coming in from sacubitril as well as valsartan coming in for Divi's Labs. Now, when you look at the management outlook, then the management is quite optimistic of double-digit growth in financial year 25. And they're also saying that the focus is on Kakinada commissioning in the third quarter. And in terms of growth, then they see stable growth in the generics business. They're also seeing potential addition of new CS as well as contrast media molecules. So that is what the pipeline looks like. Let's also take a look at what the con call highlights were like. They talked about how naproxen saw 1% rise in market share. So while you did have naproxen sliding 10% on a year-on-year basis in terms of sales, the market share was 1% higher. And when you look at the pricing pressure, that is something that they saw in the generic as well as CDMO business. They're also talking about reduction in RM costs that helped balance price erosion as well. And they're also talking about volume gains aiding margins. Now, in terms of the new unit, they talked about how that will see unique tech as well as site needed for this particular new unit as well. And lastly, the 700 crore CDMO business deal, they see that materializing in the first quarter of calendar year 27. So that largely was the con call highlight also coming in. But Snehi, how are brokerages looking at this one?
Well, absolutely. We have a note coming in from Incred this morning on Divi's Labs after their quarter 4 numbers, and they've upgraded the stock to an add rating from a reduced rating, have hiked the target price to 4,707 rupees per share from the earlier 3,333. They believe that quarter 4 performance has beat all expectations across the board, and substantial rise in inquiries in the CCS business is also being seen. Visibility is improving when it comes to the CCS business as well, and they've hiked the FY25 or 26 forward EPS by 12% and 13% respectively. So positive note coming in from Incred also this morning, upgraded the stock to an add rating from a reduce and hiked the target price to 4,707 per share.
Well, absolutely. And let's get it going with some commentary coming in then. What should investors do given the current volatility in the market? Should buy into the market on a deeper correction? And that's the word coming in from big market voices. Let's hear out word from Sandeep Tandon, Ramdev Agarwal as well as Hiren Ved, and also listen into what Team Modi is also predicting in terms of market rally for the 4th of June. Listen in.
My worry is more on the global market. Less India is already factored up to that extent. As fall is happening, maybe it can correct further. I'm not going to rule out, but the best way to play this market is through sector rotation, stock rotation. You do get such opportunity. Closer to the event, we have raised significant amount of cash level, which we have never done in the past. So we have a good amount of cash. If there is a market fall, we'll be buying opportunity.
The continuity of the current government and current policy doesn't seem to be still I mean, the continuity looks to be an extremely high probability event, like 95, 97% types, or maybe even 99%. Good monsoon and good continuity of the political setup and the capex boom continuing, tax collection being good, I think we are in good for again next 12 months, and after that we'll see. Most of the people in the market, they should also get reconciled to 10-15% correction. And once that is there, you're reconciled to that and you buy the good stuff, high ROE, high growth at reasonable P, you do well.
Yes, today it is fair to say that the market believes that there will be continuity. So, if something goes wrong with that hypothesis, will you get a deep correction? I think you will, right? But we've seen historically that if the underlying stocks that you own have fundamentals, they have earnings behind it, they have cash flows behind it, value will come back.
आप देखिए 10 साल पहले शेयर बाजार कहां था और आज कहां है। आज देश के लाखों लाख छोटे छोटे निवेशक बाजार से जुड़े हैं। दुनिया के 4th लार्जेस्ट स्टॉक मार्केट पर देश दुनिया का भरोसा बढ़ता जा रहा है। मैं पूरा हिंदुस्तान घूम के आया हूं और मैं विश्वास से कहता हूं इस बार के चुनाव नतीजे पुराने सारे रिकॉर्ड तोड़ने वाले हैं।
Stability of government is the first criteria for markets to be efficient. Stability of government, stability of policy, particularly of taxation policy. Most investors who come to visit India today are keen to see where their money can be placed or parked. India's financial markets have far exceeded everybody's expectations in the recent past.
It's very clear where the election is going. The exact number people may have a debate. In democracy, they should be debating it also. But I am very sure as round after round takes place, markets will be less and less volatile because the markets will see exactly what those numbers, or will get a sense of, where those numbers will end up. And I'm very confident those numbers will end up very, very good for us.
When you look at the stock market, it's a stock market which is booming. Okay. Now, what you're looking at is a 1-week period. After June 4th, my message is India is where the action is now. And after June 4th, there will be even more enthusiasm about India.
All right, then that was the word coming in from Team Modi on where the markets are predicted to go once the election is done and the outcome is out in the open. But let's also take a look at the Power Pack lineup that we have for you on the market today. Starting at 8:35, we will be joined by the management of Ashok Leyland. You have Shenu Agarwal, MD and CEO, and Mr. Gopal Mahadevan, the whole-time director and CFO at Ashok Leyland, and they'll be joining us to talk about their Q4 numbers. Keeping it with earnings, then at 9 o'clock, we'll be joined by Rajendra Gandhi, the MD at Stuffcraft, to talk about their earnings. It was a rather good set of numbers that came in from the company this time around. At 9:20, to talk about markets and mandate, we have Vikas Khemani, founder at Carnelian Asset Management, who's going to be joining us to talk about how to navigate the market amid all of this election frenzy. Moving on at 9:40 then to discuss earnings of Narayana Health, we'll be joined by the CFO Sandhya J, who's the group CFO at Narayana Health. Inline set of numbers coming in from this company in Q4. Keeping it with earnings at 9:50, we have Ravi Jhakar, the Chief Strategy Officer at All Cargo Logistics, who will also be here to talk about the Q4 numbers and the outlook going ahead for the company. At 10 a.m. then we'll be joined by VP Nandakumar, MD and CEO at Manappuram Finance. Profit has missed street expectations, so we'll see what the company's NIM outlook is going ahead as well. At 10:10, we'll be joined by the management of Century Plyboards. Keshav Bhajanka, the Executive Director, will be joining us to talk about the Q4 numbers. And well, lastly at 10:20 a.m. we'll have Anuj Khanna Soham, the founder and MDO as well as CEO at Affle, who will be joining us to discuss the company's strong Q4 that went by and the outlook for the year to come. So well, lots of managements and market voices joining us today to talk about earnings and the outlook going ahead and how to navigate markets amid this election frenzy. So you stay tuned to the channel.
Alright, then keep an eye on all of those important conversations coming in. But as we slip into a break, here's a quick programming note. We at ET Now conducted a mega poll amid the Lok Sabha elections on what the verdict means for the market and how CIOs and market participants are positioning their portfolios. Stay tuned for the verdict at 10 a.m. today.
Hi there, welcome back. Now on Friday we hit the 23,000 level and inched slightly lower and managed to close below that level. But my colleague Ansh is standing by with an FNO snapshot of what we can expect the derivatives roundup to look like today. And Ansh, well, 23,000 just touched and came back. What are the charts looking like today?
Right, Nifty, rightly, like you said, that Nifty has touched 23,000 mark for the very first time. But with that, it has also snapped its 6-session buying string. It seems like the index is exhausted from forming that higher high from last 10 sessions. Also on option front, we are seeing call writing happening at the psychological level of that 23,000 only, indicating traders expecting Nifty to take resistance around this same level. We closed around this same level only. Next resistance we are seeing at 23,100, where good call writing happening. On downside, we are seeing strong put writing happening at the psychological level of 22,900, indicating good support base forming around this level. Moving on to Nifty Bank. Index has touched 2-week high, and with this we are seeing that mild put writing is happening at the psychological level of 49,000 level, indicating very good support on this level if we see downside today. Whereas if we talk about FII, then in last 1 week we are seeing that index future net change in last 1 week is around 2.3 lakh contract. 65% is contributed by long build-up, whereas 35% is contributed by short build-up. So this is a positive sign coming in from FII. With this, the total long is up by around 93% in 1 week, and the total long has also crossed the 3 lakh mark for the first time in 7 years. Lastly, let's have a quick view on few stocks as well that are in focus, and we are seeing significant long build-up happening in Power Finance, Aditya Birla Fashion and TVS Motors, where short build-up for Godrej Properties, Laurus Lab and Interglobe Aviation. So keep an eye on these stocks.
Alright, thanks Ansh for that roundup coming in. So that is where you're seeing long and short build-up coming in. Now, as promised, let's also get you the list of stocks that you should keep on your radar this morning. And Jinay is standing by with that list. Jinay, good morning. Take it away.
Yes, good morning. On the back of news, we have Cochin Shipyard. The company reported a very strong earnings. The revenue came in at 1,286 crores, which was up around 114% year-on-year basis. The net profit saw a jump of around 6.5 times, coming in at 260 crores versus 39 crores on year-on-year basis. And the EBITDA was also stood at positive, which came in at 288 crores versus the loss of 67 crores on year-on-year basis. Moving on, Paras Defense reported a poor set of numbers. The revenue was up around 22%, but the net profit saw a decline of around 19% and the EBITDA saw a downtick of 29%. Moving on, All Cargo Logistics came up with an April month's update where the LCL volume stood at 7,24,000 CBM, which was down 2% on month-on-month as well as on year-on-year basis, and the FCL value stood at 49,000 TEUs, which was down around 12% month-on-month basis. Moving on, keep your eyes on Paytm as the company has shifted its focus to insurance distribution business and withdraws its general insurance manufacturing application. Also, Vijay Shekhar Sharma, the founder of Paytm, told to ET Now that they will be focusing on expanding their core business of digital payment structure, and the company will be posting a good financial set of numbers in coming 1 or 2 years. Moving on, Kolte Patil Developers will be in focus as the company is raising funds via equity shares not exceeding up to 1,000 crores and also have issued NCDs amounting to 175 crores. And lastly, RVNL will be in focus as the company emerged as L1 bidder for a Maharashtra metro rail project for the cost of 187.4 crores.
Alright, Jinay, thanks so much. We'll be keeping a close eye on all of these stocks in today's trading session. But let's shift focus and talk about the NSE because the National Stock Exchange has lowered the tick size for securities in the cash and stock futures segments, a move expected to enhance the price discovery and market efficiency and make trading more attractive, benefiting retail investors and traders alike. Ansh is back with us with more details on this. Ansh, take it away.
Right, so NSE has announced that effective from 10th June, the size of tick for cash and future segment will be revised. In the cash segment, all security price below 250 rupees, excluding ETF, will have a size per tick of 1 paisa as compared to 5 paisa currently. And the same will be followed in stock futures as well, but not in stock options. So in simple words, previously we could take a trade in the multiple of 5 paisa, for example, 100.1, 100.15, 100.2, 100.25. Now we'll be able to take trade in the multiple of 1 paisa, for example, 100.11, 100.12, 100.13, and so on. But NSE has said that they will review and adjust the size per tick monthly based on closing prices of the last trading day of the month. With this, the first adjustment starting 10 June will take effect based on the closing price of 31st May. So that's the day when we'll get more clarity and we'll get at least 10 days to understand and strategize before it's effective. So what does this mean for you? The benefits are good. There will be increased precision in pricing, enhanced market liquidity, reduced spread cost, better price discovery, and much more. Also, mostly day traders, high-frequency traders, market movers, and brokers should benefit from this move.
All right, thanks, Ansh, for that update coming in. Let's take a quick look at what the brokerages are saying this morning as well. Now, when you look at what Jefferies is saying about GMR Airports, they're initiating a buy target at 100 rupees, and they're talking about how they expect EBITDA CAGR of 32% over financial year 24 to 27. When you look at key tailwinds then coming in for GMR Airports, Jefferies is highlighting air traffic growth, travel retail opportunity, as well as higher aero tariffs and real estate unlocking as well. So those are the key tailwinds in terms of re-rating triggers. Then simplification of structure, improvement in leverage ratios, as well as ADP's backing is something that they've highlighted as key rating trigger. And when you look at IRB Infra, then the view coming in from CLSA is that they're maintaining a buy target at 81 rupees. And they're talking about how the company is creating long-term value. And there's steam left for from re-leveraging its equity as well. So that largely is the view coming in from IRB Infra IRB Infra from CLSA then.
Let's keep on going with brokerages then. We have a note coming in on Torrent Pharma from Citi this morning, and they've maintained a buy rating, hiked the target price to 3,000 rupees from 2,960 rupees. They believe that the margins continue to expand. They expect a 400 bips margin expansion over FY24 to FY27. They also see solid trends in the branded market, and the generic segment is expected to recover. Moving on, let's talk about Sun TV. That's in focus on the back of a CLSA note coming in. They've maintained an outperform rating, hiked the target price to 720 from 675. They see a jump in the IPL revenue. Remember, Sunrisers Hyderabad, that came second in the IPL last evening, is owned by Sun TV, but the ad declines have been seen. IPL revenue is up 130% on a year-on-year basis. Low disclosures and challenges in core business is something that CLSA is flagging off, but they believe that the valuation is cheap and offers 3% dividend yield as well. Lastly, let's also take a look at what JP Morgan has to say on Exide Industries. They've maintained an overweight, hiked the target to 520 rupees from 480. They believe the company is well positioned to deliver across all businesses. They see mid-teen margins in the lithium-ion cell at full capacity utilization, and industrial demand should not be underappreciated, is what JP Morgan has to say on Exide as well.
All right, then with that, we're completely timed out on this edition of Market Cafe on ET Now. For me, Shreyansi Singh, Snehi Shah, as well as the entire team that put this show together, thank you so much for tuning in. You don't go anywhere because the market takes all of the action forward.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.